record button. Yes. And I'm going to hand over to Simon and Martin. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Janet. We should bring you to all our meetings.
That was a good intro, wasn't it?
It was. Thank you for that.
Brilliant. Should I kick it off, Martin?
Yes, please do.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for attending today. It's a great pleasure seeing everyone here online. Also, welcome to those of you that are going to be watching this later. I have been looking so much forward to showing you guys who we actually are and how our service can improve your daily operations. So, Martin, do you want to show our agenda?
Yes. So we will start off a bit softer than just jumping into what we actually do and how we can help people. So we'd like to give you just a brief introduction to who we are. I mean, Janet spoke so highly of us, so I hope we can follow that and live up to that. We will give some brief introductions as to what we are doing here and which qualifications we have to actually stand here and say some clever things about the cleaning industry 2025. We will give you kind of a helicopter view of the industry 2025 as seen through our eyes, obviously. We do quite a lot here to follow the trends and the tendencies and everything that goes on in the cleaning industry, whether it be new technology or new labor laws, minimum wage increase, and other things that will either disrupt or evolve or change the game, as it were. So we do quite a lot of that with the talks like this, talks with people like you and cleaning companies all around the country. We will show you how you can turn the challenges of the cleaning industry, the pain points, as it were, into actual opportunities with our CleanManager platform. We will get to that later once you've gotten to know us a bit. And in the end, we will have a brief Q&A and a quote from a real client who also speaks very highly of us. I can already let you know that. So that's what we will be going through today. And if at any point I talk too much or Simon talks too much or you have a question, please feel free to say so and we will answer them continuously.
Yes. Before we introduce ourselves properly, I just want to give a big shout out to the lovely Janet for making today possible. We appreciate that very much. I am the newly appointed UK account manager for CleanManager, and I am fairly new to the industry since I only graduated from the university about a year ago. So I am very new to the industry, in fact, but I am already falling in love with it, which is a quite different story from my dear colleague Martin. He is already deeply in love, but I bet he'll tell you that.
Yeah, so I fell in love 10 years ago, I think, more even than that. I have a decade, as I stated on the slide, of operational industry experience. I've been an operations manager and many other hats, as it were, and in a cleaning company here in Denmark, where CleanManager is also based, square in the middle. So I know the ins and outs. I know the excuses that cleaners have. I know the complaints that clients can have that always feel unfair. And I know how a thing or two about how to actually address it in a proper way and in a way that actually can turn a complaint into a new conversation with a client about anything and everything, but ultimately evolving the services that you can actually deliver to them. So I fell in love more than a decade ago, and I couldn't imagine being in any different industry now. I guess that's the way cleaning is. If you're there, then you're there for life, I guess. So what do we see in the cleaning industry 2025? Obviously, a lot is happening at the moment. I will steer clear of politics broadly speaking, because everything is politics, right? But I will steer clear of labor laws and minimum wage increases, and because it's such a hot topic. So let's leave that for another time. I do have some thoughts on it, but I would love to discuss that later. So first thing that we see is that the admin overload or the admin problem, the admin challenge is really getting even more, it's getting more advanced and it's just increasing in volume. So before you could just send people out to wherever they needed to go, you could just write them a piece of paper, send them on their way, and then they would do the cleans. And then you wouldn't hear anything until the client called to complain. But now there are all these moving parts that weren't there before. So payroll's gotten more complicated, invoicing's gotten more complicated, technology has been more complicated. And to not fall behind on your admin, you need to do it at night, at the weekends, at any godforsaken time that you actually have the time to do it. So what we see when we speak to cleaning companies, managers, directors, and owners and such, is that too much time is spent on doing admin. And that's not why you created a cleaning company in the first place. It's not to sit by the computer, it's to help people with safer, cleaner lives. So that's kind of what we try to support here. Transparency from clients, from society as a whole, is really expected now. So I guess on the back of COVID, there were a lot of new demands as to cleaning companies and their documentation of their work and things that they could do, revolving around just making sure that you showcase what you actually do and the value that cleaning brings. So COVID was both an eye-opener, but it was also actually a blessing in disguise. Bear with me. I don't know if anyone lost anyone to COVID. So if they did, I'm very sorry. But it also brought some good things because cleaning and cleaners as such were viewed in a very different way than they were used to. Some might argue that we have taken a step back again from the actual critical line people that were there during COVID and the kind of the public view of the cleaners. But transparency and documentation, especially, is now more than ever expected from clients because they also want value for their money, same as we all do when we purchase something. We want it to be good and we want it to bring us some value in our daily lives. So transparency and documentation is quite the some of the big players that we see now. One thing that we also always discuss with people that we speak to is the declining workforce or the declining number of people you can employ. Brexit had something to do with that, obviously. So numerous reports state that there is a shortfall of over 300,000 people in the country as a whole, not in cleaning particularly, but in the country as a whole, it's a shortage of over 300,000 people, which has a lot to do with the end of free movement that Brexit also brought. So that flexibility of bringing in part-time workers from other places like universities and all that is much more important now than it has ever been before. I've been in situations myself where we had jobs to recruit for, and we had to go to job centers and universities, stand on the stage and just beg for someone to come and do our jobs because there were so few people to pick from. So that flexibility from cleaning companies and from the cleaners and people seeking jobs is also obviously non-negotiable now. The cleaners, in a broad sense, can pick and choose what they want to do, don't they? So some come in with the wrong mindset, that you can always do cleaning, and that's what we're all here to find out how we can put that to the ground once and for all, because we're all tired of hearing that. So the cleaners and the people actually seeking jobs are also looking for some more flexibility. So it's kind of a, we have to adapt and cleaners have to adapt to the new workforce. Yeah. And then obviously digitalization is a big factor in all of our lives. In 2025, you can't go anywhere. You can't have anything. Papers are dead. I mean, newspapers are dead and everything. So everything is digitized now, and it's only becoming more and more important to follow the trends and the tendencies. Also, in when you're future-proofing your business, terms of that, because if you just keep on doing what worked 20 years ago, then at some point you will be left behind, because digital tools, like him or not, they are here to stay. And I know from my own parents who owned the company that I worked for before, they struggled a bit with the realization that they couldn't do everything in spreadsheets anymore, and they were kind of tired of that. My father proudly calls himself a dinosaur, still carries around his time management system in binders. So it's a whole new game, and you have to follow along, or else you get left behind at the station at some point. And then the last point here is sustainability, which is always a factor. Green, clean products are very popular these days. Multiple different suppliers supply green products or ecological products, and more cleaning companies actually adapt to these methods and pride themselves on being green. But green has a downside as well, with the greenwashing and all that. So you really have to be careful what you say. You need to be green if you say you're green. But it is going to be a big factor, especially when the ESG requirements really step into place in the coming years. CleanManager as a company, we've already started with our process in forming our ESG reports and kind of reporting on sustainable initiatives that we've done internally in the office. So it's coming for everyone. It's just about embracing it, finding the right tools, because like anything else, someone will undercut the market and deliver products and mops and machines that don't work. No pointing fingers at the Chinese, but I were in London in March for the cleaning show, and there was a Chinese stand with Chinese machines, and while they were cheaper, they were also worse. So you also have to be careful of what you actually choose when going sustainable or going eco, as it were. But it is here to stay, and it will be a factor when bringing in new business in the coming years.
All right. So why would you actually choose CleanManager for optimizing your daily operations? I speak to cleaning company owners every day who struggle with either one or maybe several of these tasks or of these points. They carry a admin overload, which means that they are drowning in endless piles of spreadsheets and disconnected systems. There is really not one day where I don't speak to a company owner where they tell me, yeah, I use Jibble for that. I use Task Penguin for this. I use this for that. I use Gobble for that. And it's just overwhelming and stressful. And it's really the clients that we want to speak to, because that's actually what we're here for. We want to streamline your daily operations and make sure that the admin overload really doesn't, hurt your business. Which brings me to the scheduling stress, because there are constant changes in a cleaning company, whether if it's because you're growing or you're changing paths on what you focus on. There could also be last minute updates when it comes to scheduling, which is also really important to keep in mind. And those tasks are, well, something that cleaning companies struggle with. Then there's also the unreliable time tracking point, where there's messy papers, timesheets, and even disputes. It is really essential if you're running a cleaning company to be able to track your tasks on, well, on point, because you only have this much margin to work with. So it's really essential that the time tracking is good. Then there's also the quality pressure. Like Martin mentioned earlier, there is a higher demand for actual control and showing that you actually did the work properly. Because if you just tell clients, well, yes, we did this clean and we did it thoroughly, what are you talking about? You're going to have a problem because you're not actually able to document that you did the clean, how you say that you did the clean. But with CleanManager, there might be a solution for that problem. And then there's also, of course, the payroll headaches with late invoices, manual errors, and wasted hours. Every one of these are human mistakes, which are okay because we are human and we make mistakes. That's why we want to rely a bit more on the automated processes, which CleanManager could provide.
Yes, what we see with quality pressure has a lot to do with doing proper audits, among other things, but following up on your quality and the actual work that the cleaners have done, because quality is a lot of things and is very subjective. So when you put it into an audit report to say, well, this is what you've asked us to do, this is the SLA that we have with you, dear client, and this is the work that we've done. We've documented every error, if there are any, with photos and comments to say, well, we have an action plan to solve this and this, that we can see is lacking or is missing from the actual cleans. It's, to me, in my opinion, the quality area is one of the most important ones to actually document. Because if you have the documentation, you can have different conversations with clients. So when they call you to complain about something that happened 4 weeks ago, you don't have any chance of seeing the history of what's actually been done. You don't have any photo documentation if you rely on paper, or you work in a spreadsheet, or you just hope that everything's okay, like I have. Because we started out by using a paper form that we printed out, we filled it out in the rain, in the wind. It blew away. The person that we were supposed to talk to at the office, they weren't there, so we couldn't deliver it. So we just brought it home, and then if they complained, well, we might know where we might not know, but we hope that everything was okay. So to me, that's one of the most important points actually to make, that this is a multifaceted area, because they're on the surface, it's an audit report. Yes, that's fine. But underneath that, it's communication with clients. It's building trust. Same goes for time and attendance records, which might seem like overkill when you do it at first, and people might not be on board when you actually implement something like that. It's about finding ways of actually working with it so that people understand why they have to do something, and explaining to clients, well, if you have an issue, please call us, and we'll probably be able to find the time logs and the time and attendance records, so we can actually document when we've done the work and if we've been there the amount of hours that you've asked us to. And we might even be able to support that with an audit report.
That's true. The audits really change the dialogue. They really do.
There's Bex. This is something that we see on a not a daily basis, but every other day at least. Um, our systems work fine. Yes, they do, but once you start digging a bit, and we ask the right questions, obviously, we often get the right answers. So we're here to find out, well, why does it work? Can you imagine a scenario in the future where it doesn't work? And how would that affect the actual day-to-day operations? And if a system works only because Susan fixes timesheets on Sundays, then that's a warning sign. You shouldn't do admin in the evenings or on the weekends. So to me, that's a warning sign. I've been there myself. Again, I've been the person fixing the rotors Sunday evening just so to make absolutely sure that everything was fine and people knew where to go on Monday. And sending out invoices and all that to clients at 10 o'clock at night. They must have wondered, what's this guy doing at 10 o'clock at night sending out invoices? So to me, that's a warning sign because you are not fully on track with the day-to-day of it all and being able to set aside time to do those things while you're actually at work. So less admin, more control. That's what we do here at CleanManager. So just to give you a brief backstory about CleanManager, company was founded in 2010 by the same people who are still CEOs now. It was founded because the one CEO that founded it, he was a supervisor in a cleaning company. And he was tired of post-it notes and having to remember everything on the fly. So he needed somewhere to put all his information and kind of have somewhere to delegate the work that he just did in his head. So that's actually how CleanManager was born. So it's born from the industry and it works in the industry. So for 15 years in Denmark, we have worked tirelessly to become the market leader in our area, which we are, and heavily expanding. So that's brief background about CleanManager. Won't tire you with the whole story, but more about the value that we actually bring to cleaning companies, because that's been the focus all along for the last 15 years, and it will not change for the next 15, because this industry is what we know. So we couldn't branch out to electricians or plumbers or security guards or anything like that. So we know cleaning, and that's what we're sticking to. So with CleanManager, you can take back your time during the day, so you don't have to do the admin work in the evenings or on the weekends. Our whole point, the whole point of our system is to gather everything into one place. Simon and I like to call it a Swiss Army knife of admin things. So instead of working on multiple disconnected tools, like Simon said, we use this for this, and we have a WhatsApp group where people request absences and that annual leaves and holidays. That crosses in with a Christmas party thread, and everything is just chaos. We work with this system to do time and attendance. We work with this system to do scheduling. All of a sudden, you're paying for 4 or 5 different systems that can do more or less the same thing or solve one small problem. I'm not saying time and attendance is a small problem, but in the grand scheme of things, you might as well, once you're treating the symptoms, you might as well handle the root cause of the problems rather than just firefighting all the time. With the calendar that we or our colleagues in our development team has built, you can build your rotas within minutes. It updates in real time. If you use the CleanManager app to do the rotas, they will appear instantly on the cleaners' phones in their apps for them to see right away. So you don't have to wait an hour or more for for them to see their daily calendar. Again, clocking in, clocking out, such a huge part of actually being able to document your work. We work with NFC tags, which are these stickers. They're 1 inch by 1 inch, more or less. They have an adhesive on the back that you remove, and the cleaners would scan this with their phone once they show up for a job, and they will scan it when they leave. That's the general point of it all, is that this is in a cleaning cupboard or a changing room or wherever they pick up their supplies. And the idea is that this is on the site. So they can document, or you can document, that they've actually been on site when they say they have. So building trust, client focused, building trust internally so that you know that you can trust your cleaners. So the next time they call you to say, I would like half an hour extra because we've removed some limescale, or we did a needle sweep that we weren't planning for, so we had to go grab all of our gear and all that. You will actually trust them to do the job and kind of handle it themselves, rather than them having to call you having to delegate the work, which would take maybe a day extra. They could just do it right away, but only if you trust them to do so. And this can help do that. Again, the audits, our audits module within our system is one of the most popular ones. And it's been on the rise for the last couple of years, because you can in real time document the work that you do with photos, with timestamps on them. So there will be no disputes with clients saying, you took this picture last week. You can say, well, no, I can see from the picture that's been taken today. So this is a real-time documentation. Our reports can actually be used for quite a lot of things. So the audit reports is just one leg of the chair. You can use it for checklists for cleaners to fill out while they're working. You can use them for compliance purposes, training purposes, have people sign it once they've completed some training, just so you have those records as well. Again, building trust with clients to say, well, we train all of our cleaners. Well, can we see some documentation to support that? Well, yes, you actually can, rather than just you saying it or writing it in a tender somewhere. And then ultimately, we do a lot to automate some of the more heavy duty admin processes, like invoicing, like payroll. We do payroll prep. We don't integrate directly with payroll software because it's so delicate. But we do automate a lot of the process, so you don't have to waste or use as much time putting in manual data into accounting software or payroll software. So we do quite a lot of that as well. And again, some of these tools are just getting more and more popular at the moment, because people are looking to streamline some of these things. So any less time you can spend looking at your computer is ideal, as it were, because again, you didn't create a cleaning company to sit in the office. You did it to visit people in the field and train new people and do all these things. I've actually example from my real life again. I used to spend 2 days doing invoicing. A lot of the same prices every month. I just changed the month from April to May, but a lot of the same prices, which was ludicrous. Absolutely nuts, because when we implemented CleanManager, it took 2 hours. And that's not even me exaggerating. That's exactly what happened. So I could spend all of that time not invoicing, training new people, bringing in new business, which was one of my hats, doing audits, quality inspections, spot checks, all that, to make sure that we delivered on the promises that we made to our clients, which meant that we could, again, grow our business faster. We could attract more skilled people because they knew we could upskill them, once they had done their training and kind of proved themselves. So it's just there's a lot of things under the surface that you don't necessarily think about when you think about digital tools for operations and task management. Sounds kind of boring, but it's really not once you dig into it, because there is so much that you can actually gain from it in the long run.
Yeah, brilliant. So with that being said, we have brought these examples, which are not actual companies, but examples of companies. We have an actual company a few slides later, but this is how much you could actually save by adapting CleanManager into your daily operations. If we take Susan's Clean Limited as an example, she has 15 employees with 100 clients. And if you just take a company of that size, which is what I would define as a small to medium-sized business, there's a grand possibility that you're about to save about £1,000 a month, because a lot of these tasks that CleanManager actually does for you, you would, I suppose, be able to handle in-house, but you would actually need to hire, I suppose, one or two more admin personnel to actually handle the tasks. So by adapting the system, you're gonna be able to save so many hours on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis, on a future basis, I want to say. And of course, the savings only gets bigger the more clients and the more employees you have, because you're just going to be able to manage way more things in, well, way less time. I think the example Martin brought up about 2 minutes ago with the time saving he was actually able to do from 2 hours, I mean, from 2 days to 2 hours, really is a spectacular real life example of how grand these changes can actually be.
Yeah. We have seen examples of people having a bookkeeper or an accountant who did all the invoicing and payroll before. And then once they started to streamline and automate some of those processes, they were able to do it by setting aside like a month to do admin work as such. Do all the invoicing, do all the payroll prep, and then not needing a bookkeeper anymore, which is unfortunate for the bookkeeper, obviously, but good for the business owner, because it saves them not only the time, but it also saves the money of having an actual person sitting there doing the wages and not much else. So there are a few examples of that actually. All right. So now for the practical part of it all. You sat there for too long, not speaking and not seeing any real things. So now I will actually take you through what our app looks like, how you can easily clock in and out via these NFC tags, and how cleaners can access their schedules and tasks for one day at a time through the app, and actually document the work that they do. After that, I will show you our calendar view. But first things first, let's look at the actual and you will see my app now.
You need to hit share, right?
To exit this one. Are we there? Can you see the app now? Great, perfect. Great. So as a general rule of thumb, we try to make CleanManager as simple as possible. So we work on the KISS principle, which means that we don't do very many bells and whistles. and we don't overcomplicate things. So what you see is kind of what you get, and if you don't like it, you don't have to take it. No, that's a joke. So just to keep things as user-friendly as possible, because what we find is that if things are user-friendly, they will be used. If they are too overcomplicated or there are features that you don't know how to use, then it won't be used. And our aim is for CleanManager to be used as the primary tool on a day-to-day basis in the operations, in the cleaners day-to-day as well. So that's what we're aiming for. So we try to keep things as simple as possible again. So just to show you what a typical workday for a cleaner could look like, then I would be this guy Matthew, and I showed up for work, but I didn't know what the heck to do. I would go to my information dashboard, not dashboard, but it is a picture where I can see all of the things that my employer would want me to see about the client itself or the job in particular. So I could go to resources, look at my safety data sheets. I could look at training videos. For office cleaning, I could look at floor plans, maps of buildings, area maps, could be anything. So anything and everything you can do to make sure that the cleaner only has to focus on actually doing their job, which is the cleans, is great, because this will allow them just to look in one place and maybe not have to call their supervisor every time they're in doubt of something. And even the training videos can be quite useful in showing instead of telling. So you could just tell people to consult the app, and if you're still in doubt, call me again and we'll figure it out. But firstly, go to the app, consult the training videos, and then call me again. They can go here for cleaning plans as well, information about keys. So you don't have to have that in a binder or stored locally on your computer or anywhere. They can see everything from this app. So they just have to focus on doing the job. So once they show up for work and they want to start working, they will click Start Task, and the app will ask them to scan the NFC tag, which I'm hoping works now. It does. It has been all day. They will start the task, and you will, as the employer, know exactly when they have clocked into the job. So this is actually when they've been on site physically, 4:43 p.m. on the 28th of August, 2025. Once they're clocked in, they can actually put the phone back in their pocket. It won't run in the background, draining the battery like you see with geofencing or GPS tracking. People won't feel as surveilled as they do with the two other methods of actually doing time tracking. So this is the least invasive way of actually keeping track of these records. For documentation purposes, like we touched upon earlier, is very important. They can take pictures while they're working to support any claims of extra time or complications they've come across, or things that have made them late or not spend as much time as scheduled. Use that photo, and then in a perfect world, you would add a comment so that the admin people on the other end can see what it's actually about. Attach that, and then phone back in the pocket. Go on with your job. Once they're finished with the job, they will click End Task, scan the sticker again, and then move on with their day. It's that simple. So they really don't have to do anything else through the app. You can let the cleaners do different things within here, but you can also actually remove some of these buttons to make it even simpler looking. So not much more to it from the cleaner's perspective, which is quite important when you're actually looking for people to use this every day as their primary tool. All right, great. Are there any questions? Because then Simon will answer them while I will find our calendar.
Yes, don't be shy if there have been any
Wow.
questions in your mind.
I've literally filled my entire notepad. There were so many things there that resonated with me, not least the word dinosaur. That really, really, I was like, yeah, that really hit home with me. Even now, I love simplifying things, but I do like to write things down. Um, but yeah, let's Drew, Michael, Rachel, far away. I'll ask what you need, what you'd like to know. There were so many plus points there. I don't actually know where to start. Drew, you've normally got a question. Oh, Michael.
No, I'm most interested, I think, in the auditing side of things. I just love the idea of having more transparency and showing this my clients what we're doing, when we're doing it, and how we're auditing it. I just see that as being so powerful. So I'm very interested in seeing a bit more about that. The NFC tags, I just see that replacing my current system. I have a system where the staff use their phones to log in and log out. And to be quite honest, I don't like it that much because they tend to log in from the bus or while they're having breakfast in the morning, and it causes. And the feedback is, oh, I forgot, so I just logged in when I got home, and
Yeah.
it doesn't really work. In fact, I've got a system which I think is going to show when people are logging and logging out, but it really doesn't work, and they forget all the time.
Yeah.
With an NFC tag, it just seems really simple. I think it's just right. It's simpler than what I'm using. What I'm using is a smartphone app,
Hmm.
and it's dependent upon so many factors which seem to fall down quite a lot. But the auditing, to repeat myself, I'm very interested to hear more about the auditing.
Well, our audits module is one of the ones that we are most proud of, I would say. It's just very nice to be able to give the proper documentation. It really gives you, how do you phrase this? Like it eases the mind because you will actually be able to know that you have provided the clients with proper documentation, and you can actually stand behind that, because if they actually ask for any proof, you always have the proof, even with photo documentation that is also time-stamped with your logo. So you'll always be able to actually, document that you were on site when you were. I mean, you could also have a case where, let's say you have this office clean and they go there and there's a broken lamp or there's a big coffee stain on the floor, and they might actually blame you or your cleaners and say,
Yeah.
why did you spill all that coffee? But now you're actually able to document, we got on site here, it's already all dried up, we did not spill coffee on your floor. And
Could we see some examples of the auditing? Are they like, do you like have checklists type things, or how's it?
You can do it in multiple different ways. And once I get this working, I can show you. I can show you what it could look like. And I would also suggest that we set aside some time to have an online meeting to discuss further. We will get back to that later. Just making sure that you can see my screen now. Our
Yes.
website. Perfect.
We can see Zoom
Just
on your
Zoom here.
screen.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Yes, it is Zoom.
okay.
yeah, just
I need
yes.
to move the whole thing then.
Aha.
Better?
Aha. That sounds better. Okay. So this is what our platform looks like as of now. People are working in the background to redesign some things, but this is what it looks like in the current state. And this works perfectly, I might add. From my own personal experience, it was a game changer, doing something else than we were used to. Because let me tell you, there were my parents and me, we started the company. We had a whiteboard on the wall in our office, and then we wrote the clients' names on the whiteboard, and then all the cleaners. On the I'm not a mathematician, so I can't do the axes and all that. But downwards were the cleaners, and upwards were the clients, and we moved around cardboard cutouts with names corresponding to the correct clients every day, which was, I won't lie, quite time consuming, a bit boring as well. So we quickly found out that once we were 5 people, once we were 7, once there were 17, all of a sudden we were 25 people and we had to do something else. So we searched far and wide, did all the free project management tools, did the Connect team free up to 10 users thing, and then all of a sudden we were on our way into a lock-in contract of 3 years, and we weren't interested in that, so we bailed on that. So all of those things, we went through them, and because we were trying to do things cheap, as you are in the beginning, stumbled upon CleanManager, which was incidentally a Danish product, had a demo, such as the one we can provide afterwards, and kind of fell in love with the value that it could bring us, because one thing is features, but the other thing is kind of scratching beneath the surface to find out, well, how is this going to future-proof our business? My parents at that time were not as old as they are now, because that was in 2013. They have retired semi now. Can't quite kick them out, I think. But they were looking to do something to make sure that the business was sustainable for many, many, many years to come in the future. So even though they proudly called themselves dinosaurs, or my father at least, they still went on board with this, and they use it, or we used it every day for the remainder of my time there. They still use it today. So again, I'm not just saying it works because I work at CleanManager. I'm saying it works because I know it works. Just to show you the actual scheduling portion of our system first, again, based on the KISS principle, keeping things user-friendly, intuitive, and just fairly basic might be the wrong word because it's a negative in some ways, but still, I mean, you get the idea of this quite quickly because it's fairly self-explanatory. You have all the holidays, including the bank holidays, already in the calendar. You don't have to put that in yourself. You can do repetitions of recurring jobs. You can put in one-offs. And then once you've put a job in, it will appear on the cleaners' phones. So it's just a very real-time, user-friendly system that just does what it's supposed to do. We do actually have another calendar view where you can drag and drop assignments. Some people like that more than clicking. Maybe I can show you. It's better than telling. So this would be an example of that, where you can drag and drop assignments from cleaner to cleaner, from time slot to time slot. Fairly easy, without too much hassle. Create sort of multiple filters and sortings for seeing different things. Like if you divide things up into areas, you can do that here as well to only see the cleaners in that area. So where can we put people? Where can we allocate our resources best possible?
It's really impressive, guys. I'm so glad Michael brought up the audits, because it's something that as business owners, everybody should be doing more of, and to have a way of having that tracked and to be able to present professional information, as opposed to walking around with a clipboard and that whole dinosaur thing. I think you nailed it at the beginning when you spoke about transparency in the level of information, presenting information in such a way that it is professional, and it almost, well, I say almost, I think it's certainly going to reduce all those queries about how long someone was on site for, what they did. It's evidence backed. And I don't think we can beat that in the day and age that we live in. Do you guys agree, Drew?
Yeah. But to me, I'm probably your ideal person because I have none of this. This is like gold to me now. I'm thinking, my mind's going, yeah, I need that.
Let's speak
So
further.
everything. I'm just waiting to see what you can do when I've got a question.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just getting back to the audits and kind of showing you what a filled out audit report could look like, because you can tailor the templates to fit your needs and the needs of your client. So you will have initially you will have the contract that you have with the client and the agreed upon terms and all that, and then probably build a template from that of what you need to actually check when you do a spot check, and then just pop your head in the door and say everything's fine and then leave and then sign it. You will actually have to document with photos the work that's been done. So if I just show you an example like this is a again fairly simple example of a completed audit report with an overall score in the top right corner.
I'm not seeing that.
You're not seeing this? Oh my
No,
God.
no.
No, I've just got your homepage sort of thing on.
It's over there. Maybe you should drag the audits over there.
I do that. And then oops.
Oh, there it, yes.
Yeah,
something's
that's it.
now. Yeah. Oh, right. Great. Yeah.
This is so strange. I'm used to a different video conference system, I would say. All right, so this is a filled out audit or an example of one, where you have an overall scoring at the top right corner, 64%, which is on the low side. So we find the people that we speak to, and again from personal experience, that in most places around 80% is desirable, the level of quality, and the overall scoring will reflect that with the colors that it produces. And this is just, it's so easy to understand. 64% of a semi-smiling face and a kind of a greenish color, but not all the way green. So there are things you can do to improve this. So the idea is that a supervisor or whoever does the site visit or the audits per se will go through each room at a specific location to check the toilets, sinks and the floors, give it a rating of satisfied, very satisfied, or dissatisfied, or whatever you want to call them. This is very tailorable, so you can almost make it bespoke to you and the clients that you have. So we're not very rigid in that way either. So go through each room, rate it, take a photo of it. Again, I always had the rule that if you rate something as dissatisfied, you better have an explanation for it, because it will drag the overall scoring of it way down. So put in a comment, put in a picture to support the claim. If it's a coffee stain, if it's a linoleum floor that's cracked, that you're afraid to spill hot water and soap in because it'll ruin it even more, then by all means, take a picture of it so that we can pass that on to the client to tell them, well, if you want your floors clean, please fix them, because otherwise we'll ruin them. Which again, will give you a different conversation on a different level with your clients, because you won't just tell them, fix your floors or we won't clean them. You will back your claims saying, well, the products that we use, even though green, eco, and sustainable, will still ruin the floor when we use it with hot water. So again, support your claims and back your opinions with actual data and documentation. So again, fairly self-explanatory, the audits, go through each room, give it a rating, and then sign it at the bottom. All the photos will show at the bottom as well. All the photos will also be time-stamped. So again, the documentation can't be tampered with. It will log the time that the phone takes it, and not some imaginary time that it pulls out of the sky. You can send this straight away to clients through email, or you can save it for internal use for later. So it will save itself anyway when you send it, but not all audit reports need to be sent necessarily to the clients. Some you just do to kind of keep track of your own internal quality documentation. Can be used for those purposes as well. And if you have supervisors, you can do statistics on the filled out reports. So when you're doing annual reviews with your supervisors, you can say, well, over the last period of time, we have our desired level of quality of 80%, and the cleaners that you're responsible for and the reports that you do, they are generally good. Some could be better. There is kind of a dip around March, April. Let's take a look at why that is. So again, you don't have to bang people over the head with a bad report, because there's usually a reason that it's bad, or it has a too low scoring. And you can also see from this that the quality has been on the rise again since then. But it's just to illustrate that it's not all bad, and you can actually use it for multiple different things.
I think you need to drag it over there if you want to show the graph.
Can you see the actual graph?
I think they can only see this screen.
Yeah.
Now?
Yeah, we can
Okay.
see that screen now.
Sorry, guys.
Report
This is the graph.
statistics.
This is the statistics of the filled out reports. So come annual review time for supervisors, bring this up to say, well, over the last period of time, your team has performed in this way and this way. And we can see that there was a dip in the quality, or maybe not, because there is almost always a reason that a report has scored 67%, and it's almost never the cleaner's fault. It almost always has something to do with work conditions that weren't up to par or even ideal, which gives it a lower scoring. And you can also see that the quality has been on the rise since then. So they have corrected some things here. They fixed the flaws, so now we can clean them. So now the reports are good again.
Does
So-
this sort of thing also work in domestic houses? To track your
Yes.
staff there?
Some places you have to ask permission to take photos, obviously.
Yeah.
But otherwise, other than that, it will work perfectly fine. Take pictures of those broken lamps that were broken before you came in. Those places where forks are missing, or windows are broken, or anything like that, especially with new clients. To say, well, we actually document our work, and we do a sweep. We do our rounds
Yeah.
before we even start the clean to take before pictures, and we take after pictures once we're finished of the things that weren't ideal when we did the clean. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Maybe we should show them the calendar real quick, the drag and drop. I think that was on this screen over here.
You didn't see the drag and drop functions?
Ah, that looks interesting.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Well, we are used to a different program, but we got it now.
So now you can see what I was talking about before, where you can actually drag and drop assignments either from cleaner to cleaner, or time slot to time slot, or however you want to slice it, rather than clicking on things. Some people like a more modern looking view, and some people like myself, who are trained in what we now call the classic calendar view, which is this one. Quite like that it's so simple, it's so basic, it just does what it's supposed to do. It's actually built on the old Outlook calendar and the then Google Calendar that came out just after the Outlook calendar. So the views will be recognizable for many people once they switch over. And when they set up the system back in the day, that was kind of their aim, so people wouldn't be scared, because changes is always daunting and it's always scary. So if there are things that can be recognizable when you do the switch, then you're more likely to actually use it.
I'm a huge fan of keeping things simple. I think we all are. Isn't
Can I
anything?
ask a question? Going back
Mm.
to domestics. So, for example, my domestics have the same routine every week with each client. I could put that in there as their plan for that week, or like they have a week 1 and a week 2 because of alternates, and then that would show up there. Then that would link to them clocking in and clocking out, because I do have issues sometimes with the timings. So there's
Yes.
that calendar linked to your clocking in and clocking out system as well.
Yes.
Okay, you're nodding. Good. That's why I'm good.
Yeah, so once you delegate anything from the calendar, it will appear directly in the cleaners apps.
Okay,
Real-
right. Okay, yeah, got it.
Wait.
I think Simon and Martin have got they have got a code, a QR code for you. I'll let you guys explain.
Yeah. So just finding the right picture here. I'm just going to do this.
Yes, I think that's
Can you see the presentation again?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. So we've looked at the app and we've looked at the calendar. So real-time updates for your team and building rotas and minutes with all the recurring jobs that you have. You can put in a repetition pattern. So you only have to do that once. You can actually plan for months ahead. And then actually also deselecting specific weeks if working with domestic cleaning, that one person isn't home or they're on annual leave or they're on holiday in week 30, you can pull out that 1 week and not messing up the rest of the pattern.
Okay.
Final thing we wanted to show you. This is a QR code, which you can scan with your phone. And that will link into my calendar, where you can book an introductory online call with me and Simon, where we'll go over the things that, well, some of the things obviously that we've discussed today, or any questions that might have come up since then, and how we might be able to help you streamline your daily operations even more. So feel free to scan and feel free to look at the client reference that we actually have. This is a real life client. Yes. The other examples were fictive, but still real. But we do have a good collaboration with Keith up in Edinburgh, who was one of the first movers when we actually expanded into the UK. One of the first movers to jump on board with CleanManager. Not to say that there weren't issues and that there hasn't been issues, but there always are. And he also actually uses CleanManager as a client portal. So you can give your clients access to themselves, log into the system, check their own reports, check their own calendar. So you don't have to remember to text them or WhatsApp them. We'll be coming tomorrow because they can access their own calendar to see that, which is one of the things that he's very happy with.
What I'm going to do is I've got that. If you haven't had a chance to scan that code, I'm going to pop it in the WhatsApp group for you as well. And as Martin said, that will go directly to his calendar. I think it's worth you all booking at that call and really going through what you need and having a bit more of an in-depth look and making sure that this is right for you. And then obviously you can have because as Martin said earlier, a lot of what you can do on this system, you can personalize it, I think is probably the right way to describe it. Personalize it to suit your business. So it's not geared up just for commercial. It will work for domestic cleaning. It will work for biohazard cleaning. So all the things that we know about, you can have it personalized. And I think that's where a really good, thorough one-to-one chat will probably really help.
Yeah, can I ask a question?
Yes. Please.
What I'm really looking for is, so the clients are in the diary then goes to them doing the hours. So I want to stop me from having to go through their hours to then put them into QuickBooks to then send the invoice on every single. Does yours all link in? So I wouldn't have to change every week, every month on my domestic, so they miss a week. Would that, do you know where I'm coming from now?
Yes, and in a word, yes.
Okay. Just saves me hours on a Sunday.
I feel we will discuss further, Drew.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
That's good.
It's back to that whole
Kiss
KISS thing,
principle. I
isn't
mean,
it? Keep it
I
simple,
base my life
stupid.
on the KISS principle.
Yeah, it is. That's what that's what I need. So that, yeah, I know. I'll be in touch.
Looking forward to it.
So I would definitely put this code in our WhatsApp group.
I'm
Drew,
gonna do
I'll
it now.
email it and I'll make sure it goes in our Facebook group so that you can all access it and you can get those calls booked in. Has anybody got any more questions?
Is it
No?
a phone call or is it a Zoom call?
It's not a Zoom call, I can tell you that much, but it is a video call.
Okay.
I don't think you like Zoom calls, do you, Martin?
Well, Janet, we've had a few of these. I've struggled every time, so you tell me.
I like Zoom, but I could be persuaded to do something different. That's fine. Right. Okay. Martin, Simon, thank you so much. I personally have loved every single minute of that. Digitalization is a must-have. Cleaners that pick and choose. I've furiously written down some key things there that I think, and obviously the word dinosaur. There's some real key, there were some really good insights there, really useful insights. And I think the fact that everybody here was nodding along, we can all see how that can bring our business or bring their businesses, I should say, streamline them, make them more efficient and bring them bang up to date. So yeah, massive thank you to both of you. Very much appreciated. And if no one has got any more questions, I'm actually going to stop recording.